there is so much to get through because what drama, what cinematic scenes we have been witnessing in this World Cup back to back. It has been very tricky to make predictions, make analysis based on what we know because the surprises just don't stop. And that's once again what happened earlier today between Afghanistan and Australia. What a match. History made by the Afghanistan team in St. Vincent against the mighty Aussies who looks to dominate throughout this World Cup. But today, what a matchup that was between some of the players. हम मज़ीद भी in depth बात करेंगे आज अफगानिस्तान ने जो history create की है against Australia. अगर आपने ये match देखा, if you saw the scenes and what it meant to the Afghanistan players, the Afghanistan fans who were there to support their team, just incredible. And I can't wait to get into what happened in this match with our wonderful panel. But before that, Erin Holland, my fellow Aussie, sitting to my left, she has been obviously a vocal supporter of the Australian team, and we have been getting into what makes the Aussies just so brilliant. Erin, as an Australian fan, did you see this coming?
I mean, all credit to the Afghanistani men. I mean, they came out all guns blazing today. They really were just exemplary and they outplayed Australia, to be perfectly honest. Exemplary from the openers once again. We've seen Ramanullah Gurbaz and Ibrahim Zadran, what they can do. A third century partnership stand between the two of this T20 World Cup. And to be honest, the Aussies kind of looked a little bit all at sea over in the Caribbean, to be perfectly honest. And congratulations to Afghanistan, a huge, huge win. Some questions to be answered for Australia for the very first time in this T20 World Cup. Everyone's due a loss at some point in the tournament, though. It's a shame it had to happen in the Super 8s, but, you know, absolute credit to Afghanistan. This is a win that's been a long time in the making. Revenge, finally, from what happened in Mumbai last year in the 50-over World Cup, and it really was a victory that was well-deserved, and we'll deep dive exactly how they got to that historic win now.
Well, let's get into it with our wonderful panel. Let's start with our favorite top order batter who's known for his aggression all over the world, Martin Guptill, all the way from New Zealand. Marty, welcome back to Game On It. Pleasure to have you. उनके साथ बैठे हैं World Cup winning captain Younus Khan, जिन्होंने across formats बेतहाशा रन्स पाकिस्तान के लिए बनाए हैं और अब वो आपकी स्क्रीन्स पे as an analyst आप उन्हें देख सकते हैं. Younus Khan, welcome back. A pleasure to have you once again on Game On Hai. And sitting next to him is the professor who has and continues to give various contributions to Pakistan cricket in different capacities, in different roles. And once again, he's part of the Game On Hai panel. Mohammad Hafeez, welcome back. Pleasure to have you once again. Before, gentlemen, we get into what happened, एक refresher देखते हैं जरा match summary कि क्या हुआ in St. Vincent. A quick look at how it all went down for Afghanistan. Well, Australia won the toss, put Afghanistan to bat first. More on that in just a bit, but that's what they did with the bat. 148 on the board. A good job by, of course, the opening partnership once again. 60 from Gurbaz, 51 from Ibrahim. Bowling में अगर आप देखें, Pat Cummins once again picking up a hat trick. A consecutive hat trick for him. 3 wickets once again this morning for him. 2 for Zampa. जवाब में चेज की अगर हम बात करें ऑस्ट्रेलिया के लिए, the man who loves batting against the Afghanistan players, Glenn Maxwell with 59 of 41. What an outstanding knock that was, and of course supported by some batters, but just not the runs that Australia needed to get through to the chase. Bowling mein, what a brilliant spell. Gulbadi Naib picking up 4 crucial wickets in that Australian order. 4 wickets for him, giving away 20 runs in his 4 overs, supported by the medium pace of Naveenul Haq beautifully, where he picked up 3 wickets in his 4 overs. Nabi and Umar Zai also chipping in with the ball, picking up 1 wicket each. Afghanistan, in the end, heroically pulling off that win by 21 runs. And Erin, this is the part where it gets so interesting now, because you see India are at the top. They're sitting nicely at that top spot, but Australia and Afghanistan are now tied with 2 points each. Afghanistan will be worrying about that net run rate going forward, because we know the next match is going to be very crucial between India and Australia. But right now, this might just come down to net run rates for all these 3 teams. Marty, I'm going to start with you. Were you expecting to see another Maxwell heroic innings where he takes the game away from the Afghanistan players and gives you this sense of deja vu that we were all expecting?
if I'm being honest, I didn't actually watch it, so I was still well asleep at that point. But I mean, if I look at the scorecard here and sort of, I can get a bit of a picture of what happened. Played the lone hand and just needed one person really to actually help him get there. And I think if you look at the situation they got themselves into, they were 106 for 5.
Yeah.
And they lost 21 for 5 at the end to lose it. And I think that's just a key moment in the game when Maxwell got out, someone then needed to pick up the slack, and unfortunately they couldn't do it.
They needed 43 of 32 at that point when Maxwell.
It's not an impossible task. They just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it showed. I mean, as I said, there's one more person to stick with Maxi for a bit, then to create a decent partnership. They had their biggest partnership was 39 runs. Not going to win you a game chasing. If that could have been pushed to 50, 60 to 70, they win easily. But it wasn't to be. You credit to Afghanistan though; they stuck at it. They played extremely well. Top order batters again, 100-run partnership, 116 and 15 overs or so, and just set the game up for them beautifully. And I think a lot of credit got to go to Mohammad Nabi as well. 10 runs off 4 balls at the end to give him a bit of momentum going into the bowling innings as well. It was what they needed to cap off what was such a fantastic opening partnership.
And such a historic win for Afghanistan, and what really sets up such an interesting Super 8s pool now. Unfortunately, at the expense of the Aussies, it looks like now it could be a battle-off between Australia and Afghanistan as to who gets that second spot and makes that Aussie-India clash tomorrow so interesting. But, Younus Khan, we said yesterday in our pre-analysis of this match, if Afghanistan were going to try and challenge Australia, they had to try and bat first, take the pressure off that top order to just go out there, be expansive and do what we've seen them do. 2 matches already in this T20 World Cup where they put on 100-run partnerships. That's exactly what Emmanuel Gurbaz and Ibrahim Zadran did. You got your wish when you were looking at the game ahead of yesterday. What impressed you about this Afghanistan unit and how they managed to get that historic first win against Australia?
It was an impressive win against the Aussies, and team Afghanistan, they always want to win against India, Pakistan or Australia, and they love to play like that. And it was easy for them bat first, as we mentioned last night. If they bat first and they have scored like 150 or 60, they have a good chance, because in these tricky pitches, when you have good spinners and your fast bowlers, they are on the run, so you have the good chance. So it was altogether like a combined effort from them, and it is learning. Sometimes you learn like that, or maybe it's been good for Australia too. When they in the top 4, they can bat first or chase. So I think sometimes it's good for your if you win in the first session of the then you can learn from that. So I think it was good for both of the team, and the game was similar like for both, especially in the batting. There was from Afghanistan there were a partnership, and then they are not finishing well. Same goes for Australia. So I think when you posting or chasing, you have to be there, because the partnership is very crucial for you.
And how about a word on Rashid Khan's captaincy as well? Because
it was amazing.
He tried everything with the bowling unit. Gulbuddin Naib ended up player of the match with 4 wickets. He was the 8th bowler that he utilised. So he really threw every little bit of that bowling arsenal that he had at Australia.
Look, he started with Namidul Haq. Straight away he take wickets. So that means that he's a mature captain, and he loves to execute his plan. So I think if the captain like that, he's a match winner, he performed well, and he wants to win matches for his country. So I think he's in a good shape right now.
Right. Let's talk about, Professor, what you think of how Afghanistan approached this game, because there was a lot of talk on pressure, on histories, on rivalries, on the context, and seeing that they have never defeated Australia ever before in a World Cup, to do that and to do it so convincingly, what are your takeaways from the manner in which Afghanistan did
Well, there's no doubt it was an uphill task for them, but I would like to congratulate all Afghanistan team, management, the people behind it. Start believing on themselves and then executing their skills accordingly. Really impressed as a ex-cricketer of Pakistan, that watching someone growing in the field of cricket very well, and I'm sure and I have no doubt to say that in white ball cricket, as we've seen the progress of Afghanistan in the last 50 over World Cup and also in this T20 World Cup, they are the second best T20 format, a white ball cricket team in South Asia after India, because they're proving them at the highest stage. So they deserve to be enjoying that part. Obviously, there's a lot of hunger, there's a lot of commitment behind it as a team. And they wanted to win, as Younus Khan mentioned, they wanted to win big names. They wanted to give that statement. And you know how much they've given us happiness to the fans of Afghanistan. I'm sure they all must be really proud of that. And they are in a very good position at the moment, because sometime, you know, for the Australia, I can only say that as you dig a hole for someone, you might fall into it. So at the moment, I think the statement came out from Australia earlier in this tournament. It must be haunting them at the moment, because they can be out of this tournament, because they were thinking the same way for England.
Yeah.
Now they fall themselves into that where they can be out of this tournament.
This is
So
such
they're
an
relying on a win.
interesting tournament, right? I mean, these
No, this is what
keep coming up.
sometimes this tournament can bring a lot of excitement to you, because we never expect that Australia is going to lose that way. But you know, one good game from the opposition and one bad game from yourself can fall into that scenario where they might lose their chance to get into the semi-finals.
One
But
loss
you know,
at the
all
wrong
credit to
time.
Afghanistan at the
Yeah.
moment. They did that task quite comprehensively. And you know, sometime when you really want to do something, everything works for you. The condition, that what would be the best venue to do that? That was St. Vincent, and they got that there. So I think as a team, they displayed a great intent to win this game. They wanted to win that for the country, and they did it. And I'm so happy and proud of them too, the way they're progressing in international cricket.
And how much importance will you give to that opening pair so far in this World Cup? And once again, against a quality Australian attack, Rahmanullah Gurbaz chipping in once again, and that opening stand, they have done it for the third time in this tournament, a 100+ stand. If we could also watch the highlights of Gurbaz's innings, as we could have, Professor, your views on what makes him so crucial to this batting order.
नहीं, स्पेशल प्लेयर है, और देखें, आपको ज़रूरी नहीं है कि आप रैंकिंग में कहाँ खड़े हैं. हाउ इम्पैक्टफुल यू आर, वो इस पूरे टूर्नामेंट में जब परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं, ही इज़ विनिंग द गेम फॉर अफगानिस्तान. और उनकी आज की इनिंग्स हमें, क्योंकि मुश्किल कंडीशन थी, ही टुक हिज टाइम, इवन दो ही वाज ट्राइंग टू गेट हिज फ्लो बैक, लेकिन क्योंकि पिच में उस तरह की पेस नहीं थी, लेकिन उसके बावजूद जो 60 रन उन्होंने किए हैं एज एन ओपनर, जो इम्पैक्ट डाला है, वहाँ से और भी ज़्यादा अच्छी परफॉर्मेंस कर सकता था अफगानिस्तान, लेकिन फिर भी एक इनफ रन ऑन द बोर्ड लगाए जो इस पिच पे चैलेंज किया जा सकता था एनी अपोजिशन को. मैं समझता हूँ कि गुरबाज और इब्राहिम एज ए ओपनिंग पे बहुत शानदार क्रिकेट खेल रहे हैं, और वो एक होप दे रहे हैं विद द गुड स्टार्ट टू अफगानिस्तान टीम इन एनी गिवन कंडीशन कि वो मैच जीत सकते हैं. और जब देखें खूबसूरती क्या है कि ये जब परफॉर्म कर रहा है गुरबाज या इब्राहिम, ये टीम मैच जीत रही है.
बिल्कुल.
तो ये चाहिए आपके 50, 100 और 5 आउट उस वक्त काम आएंगे जब उसका इम्पैक्ट विनिंग जोन में जाए.
Winning cause.
So I have a question on this. Why they play like that, run a ball? Why when Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan playing like that, we always after them? Why? Because, you know, they know the roles. If they have runs like 140 or 50, they have a good spinning options. So I think sometimes you complement each other as a batting unit, as a bowling unit, and you know your strength. So that is the difference between Pakistan and Afghanistan. They knows if they score 140 or 50, 60, they have a good chance because they have a proper fast bowler. They took wickets in the power plays, and then they have a good quality spinner.
Yeah.
Maybe they took 3 or 4 wickets. Same like, so that's why they are different. But they are playing like Pakistani batting line. But they know that they have a quality spinners who can take wickets for them.
The conditions we did think would suit them, particularly in St Vincent, given a very spin-friendly wicket. We saw that in the team that Australia chose to field as well. Mitchell Starc missing out at the expense of Ashton Agar, who was very wily with his left-arm slow orthodox. Only went for 17 runs off his 4 overs and opened the innings, Martin Guptill. But the way that Ibrahim Zadran also supported Rahmanullah Gurbaz, who is generally the power hitter of the two, it has to be said. But Ibrahim went with him and supported him and gave them that huge partnership, which ended up being the most constructive partnership of both innings, it has to be said. We'll relive some of the highlights of Zadran's innings now, but do you think Australia missed a trick by opting for the extra spinner and leaving out that left-arm quick of Mitchell Starc in these conditions?
I can understand why they did that. Obviously, Starkey is such a match winner. You know, when he's on, he's really on, and just wondering if he could have made some early inroads there. But look, what transpired happened. I mean, I think we just saw there a misfield, which I read something that Australia weren't so good in the field for this game. So they'll be kicking themselves about that, and they'll want to come out a bit better than come out away from this game better than when they went in. So.
And on the flip side,
in terms of the partnership, that's what happens in cricket. You're never going to get off to the your 200 strike rates every time. It's a matter of building into your innings sometimes on tricky wickets, and that's what it sort of looked like here. Tricky wicket to start with, get a partnership going, and then it flourishes, and then that's when you can actually start scoring quite freely. These two just really depicted that so well overnight, and set up a win for them. I mean, hats off to them. It's not easy to do against an Australian bowling attack, and they did it really well.
everyone has an off day sometimes, it has to be said. But in terms of the intensity in the field, yes, Australia did look a little bit sloppy. Hafeez, we have very high standards for them, as they do for themselves when it comes to their fielding unit. But apparently in the chase, the intensity of the Afghanistanis as that win was materialising in front of them and becoming a reality. Apparently there was just so much noise in the field between them all. Rashid Khan was getting up in his teammates' faces and egging them on, energising them for the win. I don't want to say Afghanistan wanted it more, but it just seemed like, in terms of looking at the intensity, one side was a lot more switched on today in every facet, and that was Afghanistan.
Well, as a fan of cricket, we all know that Australia is very consistent. But they are also very consistent in the bat fielding in this tournament. So they remained consistent in a wrong way this time. So I think in this tournament, if you see the Australians' attitude in the field, they've been sloppy. They dropped too many catches, and in the field we seen this last night too. They were not great the way they used to be. So obviously whatever happening in the fielding is a different part. But the energy brought into Afghanistan team, that was great to see, because they knew they can challenge in these conditions Australians very well, and they complemented each other. Captain did a fantastic job, but by applying all the right resources around him, he matched up many batsmen accordingly. Like Nabi bowled 1 over, and then he took a 1 wicket and took him away, bringing back Gulbadin and doing the damage for Australia in this match. So I think personally, as a captain, he utilized his human resource very well by matching up in a best possible way, and the energy, because they all started believing. Obviously the belief was always there, but once they posted that score, then the belief was there. After getting the first wicket of Travis Head, they started believing themselves that they can win this game, and why not to just enjoy that moment, which obviously we have seen a lot of fans around the world of Afghanistan team, they're enjoying it all over the world.
And Roha, getting over that mental block as well of what happened in Mumbai last year. They had it, they lost it. Glenn Maxwell very nearly took the game away from them again, but the way that they attacked that mental hurdle of that defeat last year, which should have been a victory, it was impressive.
And they came out on top of that pressure as well, and also what we were talking about yesterday as well, the context between the two boards, bilateral relations haven't been great. So I think that also adds to them wanting it that much more, Erin, because it means so much to the fans. As Gulbadin Naib also in his post-match speech there, he also dedicated that spell to the fans of Afghanistan for supporting their team through all of the ups and downs. And there have been many ups and downs. But let's take another look at that beautiful spell where Captain Rashid Khan was clear with what role Gulbadin Naib had. यूनुस, आप एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे थे कि आउट ऑफ ऑल ऑफ द बॉलर्स जिनके ऊपर अफगानिस्तान डिपेंड करते हैं, इट विल बी गुलबदीन नाइब हु विल मेक दैट क्रिटिकल डिफरेंस इन अ क्रिटिकल मैच?
ये गुलबदीन नाइब की तो उनकी क्वालिटी पे कोई शक कभी भी नहीं रहा, क्योंकि वो कैप्टन भी रह चुके हैं. लेकिन जो लास्ट टाइम वर्ल्ड कप में बर्मिंघम में हुआ था, उसके बाद उनके पास खुद, क्योंकि मैं इनके साथ रहा हूँ, तो गुलबदीन नाइब भी कभी ये भूले नहीं है जो उस मैच में हुआ था. तो और जैसे हमने बार बार यहाँ बात करें कि देखिए वो चाहते हैं कि वो विन करें, और उनको पता है कि ये जो विन है ये बहुत मैटर करती है, सिर्फ उनकी टीम के लिए नहीं, पूरी उनकी कंट्री मैंस के लिए करती है, क्योंकि उनको पता है कि ये हमारी खुशी है जो हालात हैं वहाँ अफगानिस्तान में. तो ये चाहते हैं हमेशा कि हम कुछ ऐसे वंडर्स करें, और ये एक प्लेटफॉर्म है जहाँ जब हम जीतते हैं, और ख़ासतौर पर बड़ी टीम्स के खिलाफ जीतते हैं, तो वो होता है. तो मेरे ख्याल से देखिए ये इनके पास सिर्फ एक वरीद साइन जो है ना, इनकी बस मिडल ऑर्डर में बैटिंग जो है, अगर ये कहीं से रन जोड़ना शुरू कर देना, तो मैं सही बता रहा हूँ कि ये इस ट्रॉफी के लिए भी जा सकते हैं. बस ये इनका एक पॉइंट है जो कि इनको करना है. बस
इसमें भी बात हो सकती है, क्योंकि वी आर नॉट सेइंग कि अफगानिस्तान आर अ परफेक्ट टीम. दे हैव हैड देयर इश्यूज एंड दैट मिडल ऑर्डर has not been tested at all, and when it has been tested, it did not deliver. while chasing. But थोड़ा सा गुलबदीन के ऊपर अगर हम और बात करें, हफीज, he was so critical. He took a wicket in each over that he bowled, and very strategically removing all of the batters and remembering what Maxwell can do. He took his wicket, he unsettled him, he trapped him. उसके बाद Tim David की wicket लेना, उसके बाद Pat Cummins को भी, because we know Cummins can bat as well. He was so critical and all over the place today.
देखिए, आप मैच तभी जीत सकते थे जब आपने विकेट लेने थे, और एज ए बॉलर आप 10 ओवर के बाद आएँ और मिडल ओवर के अंदर 4 आउट कर दें, तो आप तो मैच आपने जितवाया ना, तो बाकी सारी चीज़ें तो पीछे रह जाती हैं. तो आई थिंक कि उनका अपना पर्सनल बिलीफ ऑन दैट ही कैन डू दैट जॉब फॉर द कंट्री. Captains trust on him, bringing him in a best possible way, giving him a ball, and then he utilized the conditions very well. As a bowler, if you see, he hit more often the stumps well, and then most of the time, whoever missed it, thank you very much, bowled him out. So I think as a bowler, he utilized the conditions very well. He, as Younus Khan mentioned, he wanted to do that for the country because he himself was one time the captain of Afghanistan. So he knew that how big this would be for the team, and this is how you play for a team. Like, no matter if you are a captain, you are not a leader, like you are not given that designation, but you have to play your role for the team you play for. So I think Gulbadeen, Mohammad Nabi, even the ex-captain, whoever was there, they must all be proud of that, the way they brought that for Afghanistan team, because you know Afghanistan as a nation wanted to achieve more. So they deserve to rise because their hunger, their commitment, their hard work attitude is always there. I know there's still some small things to get better, but that will also take a little bit more time. But so far in the last 5 years of international cricket, this team is growing high and deserve to be there.
The mental resilience of this side, the rise and rise of Afghanistan, they're getting better and better on the world stage. You can see the belief is finally there within those playing 11 that they can actually do this. Maybe they can go all the way. I had them in my top 4 at the beginning of this tournament. I didn't think it might have been at the expense of Australia, so I hope I'm not eating my words there. But you know, just before we wrap up what has been, you know, a truly historic performance from Afghanistan to finally unsettle the Aussies, Marty, let's talk about the Aussie Test captain just for 1 second, Pat Cummins. He'd never taken a hat-trick before in T20 World Cups. He goes and does it in back-to-back games. I mean, what a competitor he is. He rises to the challenge, whatever his team requires from him. He didn't have the captain's hat on today, but you know, what a performance from him. Back-to-back hat-tricks. Like, the guy's just insane.
Yeah, I'm not even sure that's happened in cricket before, is it? Back-to-back hat-tricks. I mean,
No, that has been done once by Wasim Akram
Wasim Akram did
in
that. Although
Test
the GOAT.
cricket. So first time in white
Only
ball
took
cricket.
one of the greatest players on
There
the
we go,
planet.
white ball
Second
cricket,
time
but-
across.
I mean, pretty incredible. You know, getting out a couple of their main hitters at the end of the innings is a pretty clutch moment, and yeah, I mean, hats off to him. You got to put the ball in the right area, and sort of whatever happens after that's out of your control. But you know, hats off to him. Well done. Not much else can be really said, can it?
What a competitor. And now Australia are going to need to dig deep if they're going to try and make their way into those semi-finals. I can't believe I'm saying that after an undefeated T20 World
You
Cup
had
so far.
Afghanistan in your top 4 to begin with, so I think your wishes are coming true, Erin.
I just didn't think that India would also be in the same pool. To be
Cricket is
fair.
a funny game, and let's just laugh about it and move on.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. And we're off to a very short break here.